everyone! In today's video I'll be walking through one of the Code Club projects called Rock, Paper and Scissors. It's a really fun game between the player and the computer. You can make many versions of this game, so be sure to share with me your exciting project you've done with this. Use the email codewithzineb@gmail.com. If you also have any project you want me to walk through, just send me the link. Please like, comment and subscribe to my channel as I'll be posting weekly. Okay, let's get on with this video. So, if you go on the Raspberry Pi project, you'll be able to find this at the title Code Club. Okay, when you press Player's Turn, you see this link. When you click on it, it takes you to a new project. And as you can see, it already says from import random. By the way, this is using Python Module 3. Okay, if you're not familiar with Trinken, be sure to check my About Me video, where I use ASCII art to write about myself. So click on what looks like this, and it'll take you straight there. So it already says from random import random. This is just adding in a variable which we'll need to use later on in the project. If you don't have it on the Trinken, just type it down. Later on we'll use random to import random numbers. So first we need to make a variable for the player. Like I said on my last video, a variable is where you write the sentence and the answer, it will store it. What I'm going to write is player equals input brackets. Remember, don't forget brackets or apostrophes because Python will immediately recognize it and you'll have a syntax error. So write rock, which is R, paper, which is P, and scissors, which is S. Okay, you see, it prints out this line, and the answer, it will store it in player. So now we need to print out what the answer is. So we write print player without apostrophe because we don't want to physically print out the word player. We want to just print out player, the variable. So player versus, I put this in apostrophe because it doesn't recognize what versus is. So it's just a word, but it's not a variable, so we don't remove the apostrophes. So we're going to print it out, paper versus. So it printed out the player, the answer of the player, and versus. Now we need to move on and we need to go to find out what the computer has chosen. So now we're going to use random. So this is going to randomly generate a number to decide whether the computer has chosen rock, paper or scissors. So what we write to activate this variable is chosen equals random 1 to 3, like that. Okay, now we need to print what they have chosen. Let's say scissors. So it says scissors versus 3. Now we're going to tell the computer to change from 1 to rock, 2 to paper and 3 to scissors. We're going to use an if statement to check if the chosen number is 1. What we write is if chosen double equals 1, and then you must write the colon to use indentation. Indentation is when you move the code to the right to show which code is inside the if. You can either use 2 spaces, 1, 2, or the tab key, which is right on top of caps lock. Now we need to set it to R. So what we write is computer equals R. So this says if chosen is 1, then the computer has chosen R. So now I want you to do the next two, or the next one, using else if. As you can see, that it says elif, which is else if, the computer has chosen 2, computer has chosen paper. The final one is using else. Now for this one it's a bit different because there's only 3 options, either 1, 2 or 3. So we don't need to really write the last one, because if they haven't chosen 1 and they haven't chosen 2, then they must have chosen 3. So we just write else, colon, and then we write computer equals S. So we don't need to write the equals 3 because it obviously equals 3. What other number is it going to choose when they only had to choose from 1 to 3? Now, I'm going to delete the print chosen, and instead down here I'm going to write print computer. Now the reason why I deleted chosen, because it says that chosen is 1 to 3. So if I left the print chosen, it'll print out what they've chosen, and it's going to print out this. So I'll just add it back in to show you what it will look like. There. Rock. So here it printed out rock versus 3 and scissors. So 3 is scissors, which is why we can't keep the print chosen there, because it's going to print out 2 things for the computer, but we only want the scissors, paper or rock. So now if we do it again, let's say I picked rock, it's rock versus rock, which is draw. So, and by the way, here it's quite annoying how it's on a new line. So why don't we make it, the ending of it is space, not a new line. So what we write is end equals space. This shows that we're going to print the player versus and then computer, and we end it, instead the space will be just a space really. So let's do it again. There you go. So now it says print player versus, and then we put a space rather than go to a new line, and then later on in the code it says print computer, and it prints a computer right next to it. This moves me on to my next part of this project, which is when we say who's won. So like this, it doesn't really say who's won, we have to figure out for ourselves, but we want them to figure out. Let's try work out, or let the computer work out who's won. We're going to make a new if statement. So if the player equals to the computer, so this is just saying if the player, what the player has chosen is the same to what the computer has chosen, then you print draw. So it kind of makes sense when you see it, how you're supposed to. So now I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to let you guys do the other ones. So we're just going to have to do the same thing, but for each different option basically. So let's do elif player equals R, and computer equals, let's say P, print rock and paper wins, because the paper wraps around the rock. So print computer wins. So we're going to write another elif, because there's loads of else if. So let me just explain to you what these 2 lines mean. So this is saying elif, so if the player has chosen rock and the computer has chosen paper, then you write computer wins, because the paper goes over rock. Now let's do another rock one. Elif player equals rock and computer equals scissors, then you print the player wins. Because rock beats over scissors as it just squashes it right flat. So I'm going to let you do the 4 ones. There's 2 for scissors and 2 for paper. So I'll meet you on the other side of the tunnel. Okay, so I finished writing the other 4, 2 for paper and 2 for scissors. Here it says, you need to count, by the way, so for these 6 ones, you need to count, there should be 3 wins for the computer and 3 wins for the player. So, and then I think you'll almost positively get it right. 3 computers and 3 players, perfect. Okay. Hope you guys got them right. You need to also, I forgot to tell you this, do double equals. So just skip through this again. I hope you didn't forget to do the double equals. So I did rock and scissors, computer wins, paper and scissors, player wins, rock and paper, player wins, scissors and paper, computer wins, and yeah, that just carries on. Let's try add some ASCII art, but before, let's see what happens when you run. So let's say I pick paper. Paper versus rock, the player wins. Now, let's just upgrade our project and add a little bit of ASCII art into them. I'm not going to do what I did in the last video and get extremely big ones with really cool designs to them. I'm just going to keep them a bit simple. Rock, a little O. Paper, just a few underscores to show like a flat paper, and scissors, an 8 and one of the greater than and less than keys. Now, instead of print computer, we're going to write, you print here, right, like I did here. So it says Elif chosen 2, computer equals W, like that. I'm going to write print. So first, if the computer has chosen 1, then the computer's rock, we're going to write print O, and then end with a space. Whoops. Same for this. Print. So paper is going to be a few underscores like that. That's a flat paper. And then end with a space. And finally, for scissors, which I think is very cool, print. For this one, you do the one which is facing the right and in 8. There you go. Now to get to the little less than key, you do shift and a full stop. Now end with a space. Yes. So you need to write end equals, by the way, common mistake. End equals. So now that should work. So rock, paper, scissors. I say rock. So as you can see, it does that. So we need to delete the print computer because as you see, it has scissors and an S. So I'm just going to delete this, and let's see what happens now. Let's say scissors. Scissors versus, and that's a paper which the computer picked. So the player wins. So now we need to change the player ones as well. So what we write is if the player player equals, double equals by the way, equals R. Then, remember the colon because this is an if statement. You print O. And you end, which equals a space. Next one. Elif, player, double equals paper. Then you print paper like that. Oh, I'm just going to add one more. A few underscores, which means paper. And the end would equal a space. Else, player equals scissors, which means you print. What do you print? Yes, you print less than and an 8, and you end it with a space like that. I'll just delete all of that. Let's see, anything wrong? Yeah. Sorry. So, paper, there you go. So it says paper versus, no. So we also need to change this, don't we? So what we need to do is player versus. So I'm just going to delete that really. So we need to move that line down, very well down. We're just going to move it here instead. So we're going to write print. What you need to print is the player versus end equals space. Now let's try again. Scissors. There you go. So, I'm just going to delete that. Just going to delete that. So, let's just walk through this game. First, it's going to ask for the variable. Input rock, paper, or scissors. So if the player chooses rock, then you print an O. If the player chooses a P, you put the 3 underscores. Else, which means it must have chosen S, you print the little scissors sign and end it with a space. So then you need to print what the player has chosen and then write versus and you end it with a space. Now we need to find out what the computer has chosen and then you can add it in after the verses. So then it tells the computer to choose 1 to 3 randomly. If the computer has chosen 1, then that means they've chosen R and you print O. Else if the computer has chosen 2, which means the computer has chosen P, you print paper. And then you end it with a space. Else, the computer must have chosen S, which means you print the scissors and end it with a space. If the player, now we need to work out the results. If the player is equal to the computer, then you print draw. Else if the player has chosen rock and the computer has chosen paper, then you print computer in, on and on and on. So I'm just going to add here as well. Player equals scissors. Now let's run that. Paper. There you go. So now it shows what they have chosen. Now that's the end of the video, and that's how you make rock, paper, scissors. Be sure to send me what you've done. However, you can try to add as many cool features as you can. For example, can you add the gun in? I've made another one which is like this, which has fire, water and grass. And this is a little fire, ASCII, this is water, and that's grass. So, can you make anything cool? It doesn't only have to be 3, you can add as many as you like. Also, in each video, I will be talking about one topic. If you have an idea or anything you really want me to say or include this in this video, be sure to comment below with your name. For example, a joke or something you want me to research. Just send it to me either through the comments or by email. So, today's joke is, drumroll please, what do toads drink on a hot summer's day? An ice cold Coca-Cola. So, be sure to send me any jokes and like, comment and subscribe. Bye!